Welcome to our overview of document management with DDX for SYSPRO, where we're going to talk about the power of paperless. What I'd like you to remember as we talk about this is $2 a minute. That's the cost of doing nothing. So for every minute you're spending without DDX, you're spending $2 a minute shuffling around paper and other things that you could be rid of if you had DDX. Everybody watching this has a filing system, and they have headaches that are associated with it. Some of those filing systems look like the stack of paper on the left, some of them are electronic files sitting on a directory somewhere, and some people even use their Outlook as a way of storing things electronically. All these things have some serious faults to them. One, documents are trapped in one place at one time, and they're not necessarily easily accessible by all the people that need them. Two, those documents are at risk. They're easily lost, damaged, or destroyed, and all the information on them is now gone permanently. There's a lot of busy work and effort involved in maintaining this. Putting stuff away and going to find it later is the gift that keeps on giving. And all of that adds up to a lot of waste, and it's our mission in life to eliminate that for you. Did you know that 70% of businesses would fail within the first 3 weeks if they suffered a catastrophic loss of paper? Even in today's age, a lot of folks are overly dependent on paper-based records, and we can help you with that. What if it could all be this easy? I'm in SYSPRO, and I've looked up a sales order query for a particular sales order, and I can find some good information here, but I don't see other stuff that could be really relevant to what I need to find out. So I right-click on my hyperlink, and I say do a search, and that performs a search in DDX, which pulls back in a second or two all of the documents that are related to that particular order, whether they're forms that were produced initially by SYSPRO, like the order acknowledgement or maybe the invoice, or forms we receive from the outside world, like a customer PO, or maybe some correspondence that we sent back and forth with that customer. Other things that were scanned in, we maybe need a copy of that bill of lading because we need to capture that signature and pro number, or maybe we need to keep a copy of a quote form as we're going along. So all of those documents are one click away, easy for me to find, and frankly, easy for anyone to find who has security and access to it. It could really be that easy. So our job as Dash with our product DDX is to help you archive and access your documents whenever you need them. We've done that by helping reimagine document management so that you can share and search and secure any business document that you may have. Secondly, DDX delivers documents. It can email them and or fax and or print, and oh, by the way, it automatically files a copy as well. So all of that dispersal and delivery of those acknowledgments and POs and other things that you're producing out of SYSPRO can be all automatic for you without you having to do anything other than say, I want to print to DDX. So what does DDX really do? It's a document management system for SYSPRO created forms and well beyond that. It gives you a multi-dimensional search capability. It gives you a whole variety of different ways to locate documents. It works on a PC, a Mac, an iPad, and Android, so pick a platform. It will satisfy your needs there. And it includes a simple workflow feature so that you've got one common framework in one central location so that things are easy to share. It also includes advanced print management so that you simply print or save a document or a form to DDX, and DDX can do all the rest based on rules you've set up. And it can include various attachments from various places, like maybe the drawings that need to go along with a purchase order. All of that is subject to security so you can control who gets to see what and when. Where can you benefit from using DDX? Well, across your company. You'll notice there's a bunch of sample applications here that fit the typical manufacturing and distribution company, and we pre-configure the system to satisfy a lot of these things so that you can get up and running very, very quickly. This also shows you our audience. We cater specifically to manufacturing and distribution companies, so off the shelf, you wind up with a system that works very well for you and upon which you can build. Did you know that the average number of times that a document is copied is 12, and half of those are thrown away the same day? DDX can help you eliminate all of the cost of that stuff. We do that with an integration that helps you become paperless with SYSPRO. It starts with SYSPRO, and as you print a form, DDX goes through its form recognition process to pull together all the instructions and information it needs to send this thing along its way and file a copy, and then it does just that. It delivers it by email, fax, or print, or any combination of those things, and it can file a copy in its secure vault so that you can search for them and find them later when you need them. If you need to get at this by a tablet or a Mac or some other device, or you want a web portal to make it accessible to others, there is an optional web viewer to help you accomplish that sort of thing. Now that deals with the forms that are produced out of SYSPRO and maybe some of your other systems as well, but you get all sorts of other documents that you might scan or create through Word or PDFs that come in the door and so on and so forth. We have another tool here to help you classify those things, put them away inside of DDX in ways that let you marry them up to the documents that were produced out of SYSPRO. This program can also integrate with SYSPRO and the data over there, so it can be remote controlled from SYSPRO, but it can also validate information that you put in for classification purposes. Another integration point is the context-sensitive search. We just saw the hyperlink, click, boom, there's all the documents related to the order that I was looking at on the screen. And we're just using SYSPRO's standard hyperlink feature and function. You can use that all over the place. And we can use that form recognition engine to help deal with scanned forms so that it can validate the information it thinks it sees on them before it puts them away. So let's dig in and take a closer look at how DDX works and what DDX is. The best way, I think, to deal with that is by looking at a typical business process. And we're going to look at the process of procurement and accounts payable just as a framework to show you the capabilities of DDX. I want you to remember, as we're looking at this, my objective is to show general capabilities in this context, but those same capabilities can be reconfigured and reused in all sorts of different places in your company. And we'll talk about a few suggestions for that in a few moments. But let's look at this and walk through this process and see what it looks like when you're in the driver's seat. Now, in my simple process here, you start by entering the purchase order just the way you do today, but then you need to deliver and file it, and there DDX can lend a hand. In receiving, you're going to enter a receipt. You got the physical goods and everything, but you also got a packing list that came with it. DDX can help you file that packing list away. When it comes to invoice posting, you need to be able to view that invoice and enter it, which you'll do the same way as you do today. Then we can help by assisting with matching and filing that invoice as well. So a number of places that we can help here. Then when it comes to printing the checks, well, certainly you need to print them so that you can send them off to your suppliers, but you want to file a copy of those, DDX can assist there. And anywhere along the way, DDX can help you find the documents that you need. Now again, these are all samples. These are samples of general capabilities that we can use in a variety of different places and different ways. They are not exclusive to procurement and accounts payable, though the process we're going to show you here is a pre-configured module that we call the AP module. Again, the capabilities are there for your use and at your disposal. So the big payoff here is the thing at the end, being able to find and store and manage your documents and do so really well. So we're going to start talking about that, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about how we captured all of those documents along the way. As you saw before, one way to locate documents is by connecting DDX to a hyperlink in SYSPRO. You clicked on a order number on the SYSPRO screen and up popped all the documents related to that particular order number. Well, that is one of the ways that we've reimagined how you manage and interact with your documents to make it faster, safer, and better than ever. That method is simply automating a feature in DDX called the advanced find or advanced search mechanism. With the advanced search, it's very precise. You select a keyword that you're going to search in. You select how you're going to match on what you're about to search for. It's equal to, greater than, contains, etc. And then tell me what you're going to search for. And I'm going to search for a PO number here. And when I click the find button, boom, up pops all the documents where the document ID keyword contains 000448. And here I see a purchase order, and I've also got another one out here called a receiver, kind of like a packing slip, if you will. All those samples are there and easy for me to locate and find when I need them. That's one way of finding a document. Part of this reimagination is also giving you other ways of locating these same documents or other ones. Another way to do this is to use the quick search up on the toolbar, and I'm going to search for bicycle and have it search and locate all the documents where that term bicycle exists in any one of the keywords and or exists in the body of any of these documents, because I've selected this full text option here when I perform that search. Think of this like a Google search, right? It's just doing a very quick, very broad search to locate the things that you need. And you can see here that we've got all sorts of different documents out here. Many of them look like they're purchase orders, but we've also got things like supplier correspondence and a supplier invoice and so on and so forth. And somebody along the way has been kind enough to link this particular invoice with other documents along the way that are related to it. This can be done by a human, or we've left the opportunity open for a clever programmer to build a little program to automatically generate those links. In fact, one of our guys has done a little script to do pretty much what you see on the screen here, take an invoice from a supplier and link it to things like the AP check or the purchase order, so on and so forth. So while I've found the supplier invoice, if I have access to the other documents that are linked to it, they appear as links down in the bottom so that I don't have to navigate all over the place to locate what I'm looking for. This is very much like a stapler in the electronic world, but even better. A third way of locating documents is using this folder view. You can see when I click on the folder icon, the display at the left changes to look like the folders that you might see if you were using Windows Explorer or Microsoft Outlook to house these documents. And I can just open it up until I get down to the place where I want to see the documents I'm interested in. I'm looking here maybe for an invoice, and I've found the one I'm looking for. Now this makes it look like these documents are sitting in physical folders somewhere, and that is absolutely not true. Nothing in DDX will be found in a folder outside of DDX's database. That's because all of the documents inside DDX are housed inside the Microsoft SQL Server database that DDX runs on top of, and not stored in directories or folders anywhere on your disk. The reason we make it look this way is it's a little bit of magic that mimics some of the tools that you're already familiar with. We have created what DDX calls a view, and I've chosen up here, as you can see at the top of my screen, the accounts payable view. And my system administrator has set that up, and part of the definition of that view is the hierarchy that you see over here at the left. It says, show me the division first, then show me the first letter of the supplier name, then show me the supplier name, then the type of document, and then the actual document itself. Those folders are being built on the fly based on that hierarchy as you go to look at things. Now, that has some really kind of cool byproducts. One, I don't have to create any of these folders ahead of time. The minute I put a new invoice away or a new purchase order away for a brand new supplier, all the folders necessary to display that supplier appear automatically without me having to do anything else. All based on the keywords that were associated with those documents when they were put away. Another kind of cool feature of that is that you can look at this same collection of documents in a whole variety of different ways. My system administrator has created a whole list of different views that I can choose from. And when I do, I'm going to choose based on the date added here. And I can see what look like the year and century, and then the month, and then the day, and then the individual item, and I can drill all the way down until I find the specific item I'm looking for. And it looks like this document is sitting in a specific set of folders, but it is not. Only when I view it through the prism of this particular view am I seeing these folders laid out the way I am. I can also see this same document in a different view, for example, my order clip view. If I were to open this up and look at this order and the collection of documents related to it, it looks like this document is sitting in two different folders in two different places, right? In my last view, it was in the year, month, name. In this view, it's by order number. That's not true. We've only got one copy of that document. We're just looking at it through different hierarchies. Now, another kind of cool aspect of the view system in DDX is that, let's say you start using DDX today, and for the next 3 years, you're collecting hundreds of thousands of documents here. And all of a sudden you decide, gee, it'd be nice to see my collection of documents in a different order, a different hierarchy. Well, as long as you've got all the keywords to support your new hierarchy, your system administrator can create a brand new view in that order as you see fit. All those documents that you've been collecting over the last 3 years are going to appear in the correct quote-unquote folders as though they've always been there, even though that view didn't exist prior to today. One last thing that's kind of neat about these different views is that they can limit what you see. So if I choose this manufacturing view here, you can see that it shows me drawings and work instructions. And I'm looking at exactly the same database that we've been looking at previously. All those invoices and quote forms and order acknowledgments and everything else are in the same database. But when I look at the system through the manufacturing view, that manufacturing view has been constructed to place some limits on what I see to only these two kinds of documents. And further, it limits me to seeing only the current revisions of these documents. So there might be 5 old versions within DDX of this particular assembly instruction, but when I use the manufacturing view, I can only see the most current. That's a great tool for people who are ISO certified and need to make work instructions and drawings and other things accessible to a wide variety of people, but they only want them to see the most recent and approved and current stuff. That's easy to do in DDX, in part because DDX revision controls everything. It's unlike when you would open a Word document and make a change and save it back to disk, you've overwritten what was there. That never happens in DDX, regardless of where that document came from, whether it's SYSPRO or a customer or a supplier or somebody internally. All those documents remain intact. The minute you put one away, that's great. It stays there. It's preserved. Now, I can pull a copy out easily enough and make changes to it, but when I put it back, it puts it back as a new version rather than as overwriting the one that was there. So everything in DDX is revision controlled. Now, this manufacturing view obviously has these limits to show me only these kinds of documents. That also applies to my searches and everything else. So if I were to search for the word hat, when I'm in the manufacturing view, it comes up with nothing. That's because there are no documents available to me through the manufacturing view that contain the word hat. That is a great way for us to handle security. You grant or deny people access to these various views. But if I switch now to my accounts payable view and do exactly that same search, I can see I pop up one document here. It's an invoice, and it's popped up not because the word hat appears in any of the keywords anywhere, but because it's in the body of this searchable PDF. Now, DDX's job in life is preservation, so that you know anytime that you have grabbed a document and put it away in DDX, anyone who subsequently comes to look at that document can be totally assured that what they see on the screen there is exactly the way it was when it was put away. There are no changes allowed to these documents. Now, we realize things do happen after you've captured these documents, so we give you an ability to link notes to any individual document that you wish. And it's pretty simple. I just click the Notes button, and here I see a list of notes that are associated with this particular invoice. There's a variety of them. Every note is date and time and user stamped, basically electronically signed, so I know who put it in and when they put it in. Adding a new note is really simple. I click the New Note button, I type my new note here, and then I save it. And now that I've saved it, I can see that it has been added to my list of notes, and those notes are visible and accessible to anybody who has security to see them anytime they go look at this particular invoice. So you can make those changes if you wish. That is a secured function as well, so you can prevent people from adding notes if you prefer. Also, a secured function is whether I can delete notes, and I can, so I'm going to clean up after myself and get rid of that one that's there. Lastly, linking documents is really simple. I'm able to take a document, any document, and link it to any other document I can see if I have privileges to do linking. So I'm going to take this invoice that I'm looking at, and I'm going to set it as my target, right? Now it's going to remember that invoice as I navigate to other documents, and I'm going to be able to link those other documents in a sibling relationship, not a parent-child, but a sibling relationship to this invoice, so that they will appear under each other on this linked document list. So let's go to the supplier correspondence, and let's just say I want to link this correspondence to that invoice that I have as my target right now. I just click the link button. It asks me if I really want to do this, and I click OK. And when I do, now I see that invoice listed down here. If I click it, I can see the document itself. Well, all the while, I am really selected and focused on that email. If I go to the invoice, I can see here the email is listed, so it's this reciprocal arrangement. I can select any of the other documents that are linked to this. Now, you can do this as a human being with privileges to do so. We've left this open for a clever programmer to automate the creation of these links if they so choose. Now, once I've located a document, any document, I have a couple other things that I can do if I wish. I can email a copy of it just by clicking the mail button. It extracts a copy, puts it in as an attachment in my Outlook, and now I can send it to anybody that I wish. I can print a copy, I can save a copy, and or I can check out a copy if I want to make changes to something. Now, this is not a good example of something I might wish to make changes to, but if I flip over to my customer side of the world for a moment, I do have something that might be useful to make changes to, like this quote. I am going to check out a copy, and it pulls a copy out of DDX. It launches whatever Windows thinks is the appropriate thing to view or edit this in this case, Acrobat, and I can fill stuff in here. So I'm going to say ship to Jim's house. And then when I save this, I need to save it back to the appropriate directory right here on my network. And when I do, boom, boom. If I wait a minute or two, you're going to see that a new version of this thing is popped up and is now available. There we go. New version, ship to Jim's house. Old version without ship to Jim's house. So I've got both new and old versions on file and ready for me to use. If you like the DDX viewer, and it does the things you need to do, but you really need to be able to get at these documents from your tablet or your phone or your Mac or your iPad, you can use the optional DDX Web Viewer, which is what you're seeing on the screen here. It acts and feels very much the same way. Here's all those folder views. Let's go locate a particular document like the customer PO, and there's that customer PO, looking at exactly the same database that you can see through the desktop viewer. This can also be configured to be used as a portal for your suppliers or customers if you really choose, but it works with pretty much any browser you wish, Android phones or tablets, iPhones or iPads. It gives you some portability and accessibility on almost whatever device you wish to have. This does not necessarily require you to be on the internet. It may only be available on your intranet. It too is subject to normal DDX security as well. So now that we've been able to see all these documents and find them, it's an excellent way to save a ton of time, effort, and increase the security of your documents all along the way. But you need to be able to capture them as well. So now let's back up and talk about that business process and start from the beginning as we capture and deliver purchase orders and packing slips and invoices and so on and so forth, so that they're all available for me to find down the road. And we're going to start with a purchase order entry. Now, rather than entering a brand new purchase order, I'm going to use purchase order maintenance here, 448. That looks good. Pretend now I've entered that order, and when I'm all done entering, I end the order and I say, okay, great, I'm gonna print this order, and I choose the -DDX printer. This is the way we're going to get this output to DDX so that it can deliver it and file a copy of it. I'm going to say print, and as soon as the preview is up, all I need to do to send it along its way is click the print button. And boom, it's been sent off to DDX, and I'm all done. This thing is in the process of being delivered, and it's been filed away for me to find later on. Now, if I make changes to this PO and print another copy, well, now there's going to be a new revision of this in DDX, and I'll be able to see both old and new. So the next step along the way is for me to do a purchase order receipt. Well, now I've physically received the goods, I've received a packing slip, but I've also scanned that packing slip in, and I want to use the packing slip as a source for my order. So we're going to view that packing slip using our DDX publisher. And the mission in life of the publisher is for me to take a file and classify it and put it away in DDX so that it's preserved and searchable and findable later when I need it. And I see the list of things I need to work on over here on the left. In the middle, I see a preview of the packing slip that I'm about to work on. And on the right, I am able to put classification information in here, and that classification information varies depending on which document type I happen to have selected. So I'm going to choose a receiver, which is my shorthand for a packing slip. Now I want to look at this rather than looking at a piece of paper. I want to look at what's on the screen while I am entering that receipt. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this over to the side and shrink things up so that I can see that packing slip while I'm doing my data entry. Now I'm going to launch the purchase order receipt program, and it's purchase order 448 that we're dealing with. That's great. I've got this one item that I'm receiving here, so I'm going to receive this line, and I'm only going to receive 500 of them. Now watch when I say post this. No, it's not complete. When you watch over here as I click through, you're going to watch this far right side blink as all of its keywords are being filled in as a result of what I'm doing in SYSPRO through a SYSPRO trigger. And that's happening all automatically without me having to touch or classify that document individually. Boom. All that stuff is filled in. You'll notice it put in the supplier number, the GRN number, the PO number, and so on and so forth. It filed it. It removed it from my list of things to do, and it moved on to my next document in my queue, which happens to be an invoice. Great. Now I can just move along and do what I need to do. So my next step in my business process is the AP posting. On the AP side, I've got an invoice from my supplier that they emailed to me, and all I really need to do to get this into my queue is to write and drag it over to my publishing queue, and now I've saved a copy of that in there, and it's going to show up when I launch the publisher over here. So here's that invoice. Now, again, I want to be able to enter this invoice, maybe have it up on one screen where I can see the invoice in total, and then I want to go over here and put in my invoice number. I'm just going to make up some amounts here rather than being particularly precise. And I need to load up some GRNs. Now I've got my list of GRNs here, and DDX isn't going to automatically choose those for me, but DDX can give me a little assist here. And if I select this line for 222, and I click the DDX GRN search button with a little bit of VB scripting behind it, it goes out and it launches the DDX Viewer, performs a search for all the documents related to that GRN, and here I've got some stuff that I can use to assist me in my three-way match. I've got a certification report, I've got a bill of lading, and so on and so forth, and I can see I might also have some things that are linked to those documents as well. Somebody has linked these things together. I can link any document to any other document and make my life a little bit easier. So back to SYSPRO, great, this is good. Let's select that guy and let's do a match on him. I'm not going to get real fussy about this. I could, from here, also do a GRN search if I prefer, based on the line I select. Again, trying to tie this all together, make it so that I can see the documents that are related from the receiver to the PO and now the invoice. And I'm going to post this thing in GL. And what I'd like you to watch is, again, over here at the right, let's clear those fields so that you can see what's going on here. I'm going to let SYSPRO and a trigger in SYSPRO post this invoice and classify it and put it away in DDX for me. So we're going to go over here and I'm going to say post, and you'll watch this thing blink over at the right as it fills in all of the appropriate keyword fields over there. It pressed the save button and removed it from the queue and moved on to the next invoice in my list. Now, those SYSPRO triggers are one way to grab that information. There's another kind of cool way of doing it using our value module, and that is using this Quick Tag feature, where if I've got a searchable PDF I'm looking at, I can engage Quick Tag. I selected the supplier name as my keyword to start in, and now I can just select from the text that's on the page here, right? So now it's asking for my invoice number, and you'll see it's moved on to the next keyword. So there's the invoice number. Now it's looking for the invoice date. Now it's looking for our PO number, and it wants our ship to, so that's the dash warehouse 1. And then it wants a supplier number, which they didn't give me on the form, but that's okay. I can use this database lookup that we have here. Using the supplier name, I can just click this button and tell it to look into a database using the supplier name and find the supplier number, bring it back here. So that one extra click popped my supplier number in here, and now I can click save, and I moved on now to the next document in line, and I can continue to tag it or not. So we've gotten through this scenario where a day in the life in procurement and AP, where we've dealt with the purchase order. It's been entered and we delivered and filed it. We've been in receiving, where physical goods were received and we were able to file the packing slip as a byproduct of entering the receipt in SYSPRO. In the invoice posting process, we're able to view the invoice in the DDX publisher as a prelude to actually classifying it and putting it away. We entered the invoice using DDX to help assist with the matching process. And then when we saved and posted the invoice, that automatically filed the visual copy of the invoice that we had. Now, printing checks is just a repeat on this same theme like we did with a purchase order. You were printing a document to DDX, and the rules in DDX were set up to say this is what we do when we print that particular form. That can be for AP checks as well. And all along the way, we're able to find the documents we need when we need them, wherever we need them. Now take those same capabilities for a moment and apply them elsewhere in customer order processing for entering an order and filing and viewing the PO, delivering and filing a copy of this thing, filing customer correspondence and dealing with delivery notes and bills of ladings and invoicing and so on and so forth. And there's all sorts of application in there. How about some other places that we can use DDX as well? Think about this on the manufacturing floor for job paper or work instructions or drawings, revision controlled things, receiving, so on and so forth. Lots of different ways that DDX can be deployed there. Or maybe you've got regulatory needs, right? I need inspection results and certifications, and I need to track things that are reviewed and approved or things that are revision controlled. DDX can help you on all of those fronts to navigate through that morass. So when you get DDX tomorrow, what do you get? Well, first of all, 80% of the documents that are filed are never accessed again. So a lot of that filing effort just evaporates. So you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. And frankly, 10% of the documents that get filed, they're so completely misfiled, they might as well be lost. You'll never find them again. Well, that doesn't happen in DDX because of the structure that we bring and discipline that we bring to the table. With DDX, you get a bunch of document types, SYSPRO forms that we will set up and pre-integrate for you. The common ones are the order acknowledgments, customer invoices, and supplier POs. But if you need others, let's talk. We can help you out with that. There might be some other additional installation costs, or we'll train you on how to do that. And you can add forms to your heart's content. We also include 25 plus other document types predefined and the tools to create your own. So again, we're tooled for manufacturing and distribution companies. So all of those documents are aimed at the typical kinds of business processes and business documents that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. We don't have a corner on that, so we give you the ability to tweak those and add your own, but it gets you started without having to start with just a blank page. Or you can purchase our new business modules, like the accounts payable and procurement module that we kind of walked through today, or you can construct your own, that's your choice. And we also have a customer service module that you can use. Other goodies that you get are an administrator where you can tweak and create and edit document types, customize views and collections, set up security and workflows and revision control and determine how retention policies work and more, right? All of that stuff is at your fingertips. From a systems perspective, every document that's put into DDX is compressed and encrypted. Compressed to save a lot of space. We've seen people fit as many as 1 million documents in as little as about 70 gig of space, and encrypted for safety and security. Everything's virtual server ready and all backed by Microsoft's bulletproof SQL Server database. We give you a quick start, right? You start with an implementation plan that we can help you get off the ground and running very quickly. We give you a bunch of sample recipes or samples to show you how to create new hyperlinks or templates or other things. And we give you concierge service for the first 30 days after initial training. Give us a call. Those little short questions that you have trying to get yourself up and running, we are here to help answer those and get you up and going as quickly and painlessly as possible. So what are the benefits of doing all this? Well, there's a lot of them, but if I have to boil them down, there's a lot less risk. You've put in place a system that allows you to recover from disaster. You know, those companies that would go belly up in 3 weeks if they lost all their paper, well, you don't have to be one of those. You don't have to be part of that statistic. You've improved sustainability by reducing and eliminating a ton of waste, time, effort, labor, cost, materials, space, the list goes on. You've freed up your documents to simplify and speed up your communications, and our customers tell us over and over again there's some really big savings to be had here. And you've seen some of that as we've been going through this process this afternoon. Like this, right? The average cost, the cumulative cost to fill up one file cabinet, $25,000, right? That's a little drip, 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 but it adds up. And then just maintaining it after it's full isn't free. There's another $2,000 involved in that. So there are tons of hidden costs in paper. That's why when you talk to our customers, you're going to hear things like DDX paid for itself really fast. A few months is not uncommon. It's saving our customers an immense amount of time and money over and over and over again. It's saving space. Here we removed a bunch of file cabinets and added cubicles in that same space, so we're making better use of the space we had. Right? So all those headaches we talked about at the beginning, our job is to make them go away, and we do. And again, that hidden cost of paper, right? 750 documents are the number you can expect to lose if your company works with only 10,000 documents a year. That is super light for most of the companies in this room. Those documents contain valuable information that are useful to you running your business and maintaining it. Losing them is a wound that is sometimes hard to recover from. We're also here to help out beyond that with consulting and training and customization if you need it. We want you to be as independent as you want to be, so we provide a lot of training and a lot of help on that front. But if you need it, we're here to help too. Remember that $2 a minute. This is the cost of doing nothing. While you've been sitting in this room not implementing DDX, you are bleeding money, and we want to help you stop that. So I'm going to say thank you and send us your questions. We're glad to help, and give us a call whenever you're ready to move forward. Thank you very much.